Hey, what's going on, friends? Good morning. Today we're learning Daf Lamates of Masechta Berachos, Perek Ketzad Mevorchin. More of our, how should I say this? I don't know. I almost have this analogy of like something to do with water. I don't know exactly, swimming or drowning or wailing around or swimming. I don't know. But we're somewhere in some kind of body of water trying to do stuff. And anyways, we're going to learn today about a little bit more about boiled vegetables. Shows you sort of the importance of eating vegetables, that the Gemara devotes so much time to it. So eat your vegetables. And then we're going to talk a little bit about eating bread. Do you make a bracha on a piece of bread? Or maybe only on a whole roll? So let's see. Without further ado. Friends, whenever you're ready. So we're on Lamed Ches Amud Beis all the way at the bottom. Last line of the page. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera. Oh, so Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Zera, Rabbi Yochanan Heichim Mevarach Hazayis Maliach. Oh, so the last thing that we said yesterday was that Rabbi Yochanan took a sort of cured olive and he made a bracha beforehand and afterwards, right? So now Rabbi Yirmiyah says to Rabbi Zera, how could Rabbi Yochanan have made a bracha on this olive? It's kind of a funny thing, right? We have this shiur, this size of an olive, right? We talk about a kazayas all over the place. Now, the funny thing about an olive is that you usually eat it without the pit. The pit is like 50% of the volume of the olive, right? And yet, so basically, if you eat an olive, you're going to be taking out the pit. And because you take out the pit, when you actually eat an olive, you're eating about 50% less than the amount of an olive. So you really have to eat like, 2 olives or something in order to really eat an olive's worth. So the question here is that how did Rabbi Yochanan make a bracha on an olive if he's really only eating if he's eating less than a kazayis? Now, the interesting question is, are we talking about a bracha rishona here or a bracha achrona, right? Meaning, is it saying, how did he even make a bracha on rishona? So I'm pretty sure it's talking about a bracha achrona. From Rashi, it's not super clear. From Tosfos, it's clear it's talking about a bracha achrona. Rashi is a little bit less clear, but I still have some reasons from reading Rashi to think that it's a bracha achrona. The Rambam also assumes that it's talking about a bracha achrona. It's probably talking about a bracha achrona. I'll just read that first Rashi. Batzolei shiura v'gabi birkas peras haaretz achila ksiva. So it's written achila in the context of making brachos on peras haaretz. Now, right? And then he says v'achila b'kazayis, and eating is a kazayis. So I don't know where he gets that from. Who decided that achila is a kazayis? That the definition of achila is a kazayis? I'm not sure. Did we see that anywhere? I'm not sure. But in any event, fine. But where does it say anything about making a bracha on peras haaretz? So mistama, where it says that is in the Torah, when it says eretz chita sora v'gef meteina v'rimon, etc., and then it says v'chata v'savata v'rachta, and that's talking about a bracha achrona. So I'm assuming therefore that Rashi is talking about a bracha achrona. Anyways, Rabbi Yochanan. So the question is, how did Rabbi Yochanan make a bracha after eating an olive if he was mistama eating the olive without the pit? So it was actually probably less than a kazayis, and if it's less than a kazayis, you're not going to make a bracha achrona. That's a funny question. So Amrle, so Rabbi Zera responded to Rabbi Yirmiyah, Nisavat kazayis gadol ba'inan, kazayis beinoni ba'inan. So he says, look, Rabbi Yirmiyah, all we need, when we talk about a kazayis, we're talking about a medium-sized olive, okay? V'uda'ais v'lekam Rabbi Yochanan zayis gadol hava. Dafal gab de shaklua ligarinuse pashle shiura. Oh, and so whenever we talk about a kazayis, we're talking about a medium-sized olive, and the olive that they gave Rabbi Yochanan was quite a large olive, and even without the pit, it still had the volume of a medium-sized olive, and that's why he made a bracha afterwards. Very exciting. The Tanan, as we talk, learn in the Mishnah, zayis sha'amu lo katan v'lo gadol elo beinoni. Okay, that when we talk about a kazayis, we're not talking about a big olive, we're not talking about a little olive, we're talking about a perfectly middle-sized olive. Not too big, not too small. V'zeu agure, and this is what's referred to as an agure olive. V'am Rabbi Abahu, lo agure shmo, ela avrute shmo, v'amila samuse shmo. Rabbi Abahu says, actually, technically speaking, it's not really an aguri olive. It's really an avrute olive, or some actually say it's a sarmuse olive. But why do they just call it agure? Is because its oil is like stored up in there. It's like pooled in there. So Rashi explains that kilu, as opposed to like a strawberry or an apple, where you don't like bite into it and then like its juice just kind of like drips out, right? It's more like when you chew it that you get to its juice. But something like a grape, something that it is very juicy. So also these olives are very the oil is just kind of pooled in there and it comes right out. So that's why it's called an agure olive. I was once about a long time ago, maybe over 10 years ago, I was learning in Shayashiv and some guy had some chiddush about olives. I don't know. Yeah, I just remember him saying, Ogur b'soiche. Yeah, I don't know. He was excited about that chiddush. I don't think I really got it, but all right, look, if it makes him happy. Nema kitanoi. So now we're getting back into the whole shlakis thing, into the whole boiled vegetable thing. And honestly, there's some confusing stuff in this next bit, but who knows? Maybe we could work it out together. So nema kitanai. So we basically, I think the vibe that we got yesterday was that on boiled vegetables you're going to say Berei Priya Adama, right? From Rab and from Shmuel, we said even Rabbi Yochanan says shahakol. That's really only like on garlic and leek, where when after you cook them they become shahakol. But like everyone, we pretty much seem to assume that it was Berei Priya Adama, right? Then there was a machlokes with Rabbi Yam Bar Yefes and Rabbi Chia Bar Abba. Rabbi Yam Bar Yefes said shahakol, but Rabbi Chia Bar Abba said Adama, and he was definitely the better choice. Kilu, it seems like everyone seems to be saying Berei Priya Adama and shlakos, yet the Gemara is going to say some funny stuff here. So nema kitanai. So let's say it's actually a machlokas tanaim, whether on boiled vegetables you say Berei Priya Adama or shahakol ne'abdvarim. Okay. So Bar Kapara was a Tana. He was a very late Tana, but he was a Tana nonetheless. And he had two students. And I guess we're assuming that those two students were also Tanaim. Okay, and this is the Machlokas. Tanaim is the Machlokas between these two students. Okay, so there were two students who were sitting in front of Bar Kapara. Haviu lefanav kruv v'durmaskin ufagiot. And they brought in front of Bar Kapara cooked, right, boiled cabbage. Boiled, it's not clear what durmaskin is, whether it's some kind of a plant or a plum epis, maybe some kind of a tzimis. But in any event, these were boiled, vegetables or boiled fruit, whatever it is. Upargiot and chicken. Okay, fine. So the question is, are these boiled things, are they shahakol? In which case, basically, the bracha on all three things are shahakol. Or are we saying that on the boiled, let's just assume that they're vegetables, on the boiled vegetables, they're Berei Priya Adama, in which case you have shahakol and Berei Priya Adama. Okay, right? Shahakol on chicken and Berei Priya Adama and the other boiled stuff. Now, Nosan Bar Kapara was just lechem me'en levar. So they had this platter, and Bar Kapara said to one of them, "No, make a bracha." All right. So kafat zuverich ala pargiot. So he made a bracha on the chicken. Okay. Liglig alav chavero. And then the other student who was there kind of made fun of him. He laughed at him. Ha ha ha, you made a bracha on the pargiot? What a rookie move. Okay. Kaz Bar Kapara. And Bar Kapara got angry. Omar, he said, Lo alam varech anikois, ela alam alagleg anikois. And he said, I'm not upset at the person who made the bracha. I'm upset at the heckler. I'm upset at the guy who made fun of him. Im chavercha domek mishilotam tam basar me'olam ata amalag lag ta'alav. So he says, look, if this guy who made the bracha, mamish, it's ki'ilu, he like never had pargiot before. Mamish, he loves pargiot so much that he made a bracha on it because they were chaviv upon him, they were beloved upon him, more so than the other stuff. So beseder, no problem. Why are you making fun of him? Okay, so this is interesting. We're getting into something called chaviv, right? That which I prefer over other things. So he made a bracha on the pargiot because he preferred them. Now we're going to see in a second if, in what context does your preference matter, right? Is it only, when they're all the same bracha, then you make a bracha on the one that you prefer? Or what if there are different brachos? Can you nonetheless ignore the fact of what bracha you're making on what and just make a bracha on whatever one you prefer? We'll see. But then Chazav Amar, Bar Kapara, then he kind of, whether changed his mind or whatever it is, he then said, actually, lo ala malagleg anikois, I'm actually not upset at the heckler, ela ala mavarech anikois, I'm upset at the blesser, the guy who made the bracha. The Amar, he said, he said, is there no wisdom over here? Is there no, age over here? Kilu, I'm standing right here, dude. why didn't you ask me what bracha to make? Why did you just jump the gun and make a bracha on the chicken? Which sounds like he, I guess, made the wrong bracha, and he shouldn't have made a bracha on the chicken, even though maybe it was beloved to him. So let's see. So the Gemara is going to try to explain exactly the rationale for, if you should have made the bracha on the chicken, if you should have made a bracha on the boiled vegetables. Let's see. Okay, fine. And then the Gemara says, by the way, Tana Ushneim Lo Tzii Ushnas, and they both died that year. That's intense. I guess because they kind of made this scene in front of Bar Kapara, they both cost them their lives. Okay? My love, Baka Miflagei. Oh, so let's see that the machlokas between these two doomed students was regarding the following. So the guy who made the bracha, he figured, look, it's all shakoni b'dvaro. Shlakis, right? Boiled vegetables are shakoni b'dvaro. Chicken is shakoni b'dvaro. So I'll just make a bracha on whichever one I like the best. I like the chicken the best, so I make the bracha on the chicken. Malagleg savar, where the heckler thought, shlakos bari pri adame ufagio shakoni b'dvaro. Whereas the heckler understood the situation as being that boiled vegetables are bari pri adama, and chicken is shakoni b'dvaro. Hilkach pera adif. Therefore, better to make a bracha on the peros haaretz, on the bari pri adama. So therefore, right, there's an order of brachos, right? Because bari pri adama is more specific than shakoni b'dvaro, it gets precedence in terms of order of brachos. So therefore, the heckler figured he really should have made a bracha on the boiled vegetables first. Okay, so we basically want to say that it's machlokas between these two students of, the blesser thought that boiled vegetables are shakoni b'dvaro, whereas the heckler thought that boiled vegetables are bari pri adama. So it's a machlokas. So then the Gemara says a surprising thing. Lo, it's not a machlokas between these two fellows. Surprising answer. That both of these Tanaim hold that boiled vegetables are actually shakoni b'dvaro. And the argument between the heckler and the blesser is regarding the following. Marsavar chaviv alif. So the blesser thought that chaviv is better. Whatever I like better, I should make the bracha on. Right? And if I like chicken better than boiled vegetables, so I'll make a bracha on the chicken. Marsavar kruv alif design. Whereas the heckler thought that he should really be making a bracha on the boiled cabbage because it's nourishing. So many questions, right? So many questions. First of all, it sounds like we have a brisa right now that is saying that on boiled vegetables you say shakoni b'dvaro, which not only does it go in the face of everything that we were saying yesterday from Rav and Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan, but Rav and Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan are Amoraim. This is a brisa that's saying that it's shakoni b'dvaro. How could Rav and Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan be arguing on this brisa? So it sounds like they were all wrong, and it's really shakoni b'dvaro and shlakos. So that's question number one. Question number two, why are we saying that on boiled cabbage we're saying borei pri adama? Well, or even potentially saying borei pri adama, because we said yesterday that cabbage is an example of something that when it's raw. No, I'm sorry. Why are we saying that on boiled cabbage you would say shakoni b'dvaro? Didn't we say yesterday that cabbage was dafka something that raw you would say shakoni b'dvaro, and only when it's cooked you would say borei pri adama? So like when would you say borei pri adama on cabbage if when it's cooked we're saying that it's shakoni b'dvaro? I don't know. Or maybe if you say that on boiled vegetables you say shakoni b'dvaro, then that means that on any raw vegetable you would say borei pri adama. So maybe then on raw cabbage you would say borei pri adama. I don't know. Maybe. And then why are we saying that you should make a bracha, that the heckler said you should make a bracha on the cabbage first because it's nourishing? Didn't we say on the Aflamad Hamud Beis that basically everything other than salt and water is nourishing? That's how we knew that, olive oil was nourishing. So I don't know, I got a lot of questions here. You guys got my answers? Amr Abzer, Zakt Abzer, Kavinan Be Rav Huna, when we were by the Besmedrish of Rav Huna, Amrlani said to us, Hani garglide de lifta, so if you have heads of parsnips, parminu, and then you cut them up, so if it's primaraba, if you cut them up into big pieces, so then borei pri adame, So then you say Bre Pri Adama. Primazuta Shakoni Abdvaro. But if you cut them into, little thin pieces, you would say Shakoni Abdvaro, which is interesting, right? You basically have one vegetable, and depending on how you cut it, it gets a different bracha. Priyasan Lever of Yehuda. Yet when we came to Rav Yehuda, Amar Lani said to us, Idi v'idi Bre Pri Adama. Okay, they're both, it doesn't matter how you cut it, it's still going to be Bre Pri Adama. And when you cut it up, I guess really small, maybe cutting up really small, then maybe it would be like no longer the fruit. Kilo, it's like when you take wheat and make it into flour, it becomes shakoni avdvaro. So maybe the havamina was when you take this parsnip and you cut it up really small, it's like no longer a parsnip, it becomes shakoni avdvaro. But Rav Yehuda said that no, when you cut it up really small, it's just that you'll get more flavor out of it. So therefore, it's going to retain its bracha of Bre Pri Adama, which is also interesting. Meaning, because it's flavor is now playing a role in the bracha. Why not, right? Who knows? Anything could play a role in a bracha, apparently. I don't get it. Brachas are such a moving target. Anyways, so if you cut it up in such a way that you can make it sweeter, so then it's got to be the fruit, and it's going to be Bre Pri Adama. Okay? Amar Ravashi, Dr. Ravashi, Ki Avinu Bei Rav Kahana, when we were by the Besmedrash of Rav Kahana, Amar Lani said to us, Tafshila de Silka, borscht, friends, borscht. Tlo mafshu bei kimcha, no, not borscht. Some kind of cooked dish made out of beets, but not borscht. It's like, I don't know, roasted beets epis, I don't know. Tlo mafshu bei kimcha, that maybe it was like some kind of beet kugel or something that doesn't have too much flour. So Bre Pri Adama. So if it doesn't have too much flour in it, so you're going to say Bre Pri Adama. The lifta, the mafshu ba kimcha tvei Bre Minei Mizonos. However, these, food that was made out of parsnips, that they would put lots of flour in it, you'd say Bre Minei Mizonos. Okay. V'hadar amar idi v'idi Bre Pri Adama. But then we said that no, both of them are going to be Bre Pri Adama. By the shadi ba kimcha tvei the dabuke ba'ama abdila. But the reason why they put in so much flour is just for texture, right? Meaning. Right? So you have some kind of vegetable dish, okay? I don't know what it is, some kind of kugel, whatever it is, some kind of vegetables, and you put in flour to make it thicker, right? So this is super interesting, right? So originally we wanted to say if you don't put in so much flour, it'll be Bre Pri Adama. Okay, if you put in a lot of flour, it'll be Bre Minei Mizonos. And then it's starting to sound like all those different porridges, right? That we kept on saying, Rav and Shmuel, that Kol Sheyesh Bo Mechameshes Minei Dagan would be automatically Mizonos. So why aren't we saying Mizonos here, right? So basically we say here, this is actually different. Because the role of the flour here is just to thicken it up, which is super interesting. It's almost like in like a bechamel sauce or whatever that you make for like mac and cheese, so you put flour in there. Unless you're the one who made the mac and cheese, you likely wouldn't even know that there's flour in there in the first place, right? It's clearly only there to give structure to the cheese sauce, okay? So in that case, you're not going to say, well, I guess the mac and cheese you're making mizonos anyways. But if you have some kind of a sauce like that, you're not going to just say Bre Minei Mizonos because there's like flour happens to be one of the ingredients, right? But whereas if you have like a porridge and you just kind of have honey and you have porridge, so something like a farina or an oatmeal, obviously you're eating oats, you're eating farina, right? So the question is, so in that case, you can say Bre Minei Mizonos. I don't care that you prefer the honey because Kol Sheyesh Bo Mechameshes Minei Dagan, you're going to say Bre Minei Mizonos. But, something where the flour is just only giving structure, maybe you might not even know that it was in there unless you're the one who made it. So in that case, we're not going to say Kol Sheyesh Bo Mechameshes Minei Dagan, and in that case, you're going to make whatever, if there's beets in there, you're going to say Bre Pri Adama or, parsnips, whatever it is, you're going to make that bracha. You're not going to automatically say Bre Minei Mizonos, which is super interesting because now, you have to worry about the role that the flour plays, right? Right? If the flour is playing only a supporting role, you're not going to make a bracha on it. Okay? Amar Rav Chizda, Zak Rav Chizda, Tafshil Shel Tradim. This is borscht. Yafel Alev, it's good for the heart. V'tov le'einayim, and it's good for your eyes. V'koshikin livnei me'ayim, and of course, it's good for digestion. So there you go. What's that called? What's it called when you give support to something? I don't know, but it's like a commercial for borscht. It's good for your heart, good for your eyes, good for digestion. Amar Baibu the Yosef Abe Tafe v'avid toch toch. And that's specifically if it's mamish, like been cooking for a while. It's sitting there on the stove and it's going toch toch toch. It's like bubbling kazeh. Very nice. Amar Papa, Dr. Papa, Pshitali. Now it's obvious to me, Maya de silka kisilka, Umay de lifta kalifta, Umay de chulu shalke chulu shalke. So it says our Papa, vegetable broth, right? If you're making a beet soup, okay, or you're making carrot, what were those things that we were just talking about a second ago? A parsnip soup, or any kind of vegetable broth. You're going to say the bracha that you make on the vegetables, which is super interesting, right? Okay. So on the broth itself that the vegetables were cooked in, you're going to say Be'er Adama. Now, does that mean that even if like the vegetables were removed and now it's just like literally broth, you're going to say Be'er Adama? I mean, I don't know. We don't seem to say otherwise, but I don't know. But Rav Papa asks, Mai de shivta mai. But what about if you what if you just boil dill in water? Is that broth going to be Be'er Adama or Shakon Evdvaro? So do we say the matuke taima avde? Do we say that it's to actually sweeten up the taste of the water? In which case you would say Be'er Adama. Or la avuezua ma avdela? Or do we do it to just kind of get rid of, I guess, some kind of dirtiness that was in the water? That's why you cook dill in it. In which case it's not really playing like an active role, for flavor. It's just there, to get rid of something bad. So you wouldn't say Be'er Adama because of the dill. Okay. Again, super interesting, that like there's no objective bracha on what you make on dill broth. It like depends, well, why was there dill in there? So Tashma Sheves, so this dill broth, Mishe Nasna Tam Bikdera Ein Ba Mishum Truma, Vena Matama Tumas Ochlim. So if you have dill, and that dill is truma, okay? Somebody gave it to a Kohen as truma, okay? And then you take that dill and you put it in some kind of cooked dish. And then you remove it from the cooked dish. Does that dill that has been removed, does it still have a din of truma? Right? You have to be careful not to make sure that it doesn't become tameh. You have to treat it with respect. Can somebody else then consume it theoretically? So we say, Ein ba mishum truma. It's no longer truma anymore. Right? Once it's been cooked, all its flavor went into the dish. And now it's just like a dead branch. Right? I guess it can't transfer any tuma to any other food. I guess it's not ochel anymore, right? So we see that the role of the dill in that cooked dish was to impart flavor, and now that flavor is gone, the dill is basically just like a dead branch. So therefore, dill does play a role in imparting flavor, and if you have a dill broth, you would say Be'er Adama on the dill because the dill is playing a flavor role. Okay, friends, do you need to make a bracha on a slice of bread? Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, pas snuma b'kaira, mevarchen alea hamotzi. So Rav Chia bar Ashi says, if you have a piece of stale bread that you put in a soup so that you can, get some moisture back into the bread and then you can eat it. So Rav Chia bar Ashi says that you do say the bracha of hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Ufliga de Rav Chia, and this argues on Rav Chia, the Amar Rav Chia tzarich shetchala brachim apas. So Rav Chia says that you have to finish the bracha with the bread. What does it mean you have to finish the bracha with the bread? What it means is that you take a loaf of bread, a complete loaf of bread, and while you are saying the bracha of hamotzi lechem min haaretz, you are timing the bracha so that as you complete the bracha, you are also cutting through the loaf of bread. Which means that you need a loaf of bread in order to say hamotzi lechem min haaretz, which means that just a piece of dry bread in a soup, you wouldn't say hamotzi lechem min haaretz on it. Maskef lo Rava, but Rava asked a kasha on Rabbi Chia. Maishna snuma dilo, or really, I guess on the Gemara. Right, the Gemara assumes that Rabbi Chia bar Ashi is arguing on Rabbi Chia, but how come that question assumes that Rabbi Chia would say that you wouldn't make a bracha on this piece of bread that's in the soup trying to get unstale? Mishum dechikalya bracha apusa kakalya. Is it because you're making a bracha on a piece of bread? And Rabbi Chia seems to assume that you have to make it on an entire loaf of bread? But interesting question. Alapas nami kika gamra aprusa gamra. Even according to Rabbi Chia, his whole thing is that you time your bracha so that you complete it when you complete cutting through the bread, which means that at the time that you finish making the bracha, all you have is a piece of bread, right? Right? It's no longer a full loaf of bread. You've completed cutting the piece. So therefore the bracha is actually going on a piece of bread, which is really no different than when you take the stale bread, put it in the soup, and make a bracha on that. Either way, you're making a bracha on a piece of bread. So Rav Chia bar Ashi doesn't necessarily argue on Rabbi Chia. They're both saying that you make a bracha on a piece of bread. So Elo Amar Rava, rather Rava says, Mivarech v'achar kach botzea. No. So rather Rava suggests actually what you do is you make a bracha on the full loaf and then you cut it. So the bracha that you're making is actually going on the full loaf of bread. And then it's taka kasha on Rav Chia bar Ashi, right? Because Rav Chia bar Ashi was saying that you're making a bracha on a piece of bread that's in a soup, whereas Rava is saying, no, you make a bracha on the entire bread. Okay? So Nardaya Avdei Rabbi Chia, so the Nardaeans would do like Rabbi Chia, and they would time their bracha to finish while you finish cutting the bread. Rabbanan Avdei Kirava, the rabbis would do like Rava, that they would make the bracha and then they would cut the bread. Amar Ravina, Amar Li'aim, so Ravina said that my mother told me, Avuch Avid Rabbi Chia, that your father would do like Rabbi Chia, that you finish cutting the bread as you finish making the bracha. Rabbanan Avdei Kirava, but the rabbis would do like Rava, that they would make the bracha and then they would cut the bread. Okay. And the bracha is like Rava, that he says that when you have a full loaf of bread, you first make the bracha and then afterwards you then cut the bread. Although Rashi actually doesn't say that afterwards you cut the bread. I'm sorry, that's what I've been saying. But v'gomer kol bracha v'acharkach mafresh aprusa dekai bracha apas shalim. So that's what Rashi says. So actually, it's not totally clear from Rashi. It could be that what Rashi is saying actually is that whereas Rabbi Chia says that you would, complete the bracha when you actually finish cutting the bread, so the bracha is actually ending up being made on a piece of bread. I think it sounds like from Rashi that according to Ravi, you would actually first cut, let's say, through halfway or even 3/4 or most of the way, whatever. Then you would make the bracha, or at least finish making the bracha. So you still hadn't separated the bread from, the piece from the bread. Okay, so it's still a whole bread, and then once you finish, you then pull it apart, right? But either way, Rava is making a bracha on a complete bread, and then only breaking the piece off afterwards. Okay, so what do you guys say? Should we make a bracha on just like a regular old piece of bread? From here, it would sound like maybe not, right? You'd have to make a bracha on a whole bread. But let's read on. Itmar. Have you named Psisin Ushleiman? Okay, what if they brought in front of a guy pieces of bread and a whole bread? Think about it, Sunday morning, right? You have leftover bread from Shabbos, right? You have some pieces, you got a whole one, and you want to know, do I really need to open the whole bread? We got these pieces, can I just eat the pieces? Do I need to make a bracha on the whole one? So, Amar Rav Huna, Mavarech al Psisin ufoter Shleiman. Rav Huna says no problem. If you want to, first finish the pieces before you open a new bread, that's no problem. You can do that. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Shleima Mitzvah Min HaMuvchar. Rabbi Yochanan says, really you should be making a bracha on the shalim, on the whole bread, rather than if you have the option to make a bracha on a whole bread rather than on pieces of bread, you should really opt for the whole bread. Okay. But what if you have a slightly different case? You still have some pieces and some full ones, but the pieces are made out of wheat, which is like a more chashuv bread, and the whole ones are made out of barley, which is a less chashuv bread. So on the one hand, wheat is more important than barley. On the other hand, wholeness is more important is more chashuv than pieces. So what do you do in this case? So everyone agrees, both Rav Huna and Rabbi Yochanan agree that you're going to make a bracha on the pieces of wheat bread, and that takes priority over the complete barley bread. Okay? Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, Kitanoi. And Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba actually says that this machlokas regarding the pieces of wheat and the whole barley is a machlokas Tanaim. Let's see. Tormin batzal katan shalim, avalo chatzi batzal gadol. That if you have an option to give to a Kohen for Truma, right, either a small onion, but it's whole, or a large onion, but you're only going to give half of it, okay? So again, it's very similar to our case, right? You have something whole of something less chashuv, and a piece of something more chashuv. So the Tanna Kama says that you should give to the Kohen the complete less chashuv thing, i.e., in our case, that would be the equivalent of the complete barley bread. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Loki, Ella Chatzi Batzal Gadol. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, that's not true. Give the more chashuv one, right, half of the more chashuv one to the Kohen. And that would be, in our case, the equivalent of the pieces of wheat bread. So ma'ala ba'kamifagei. So it must be that this is machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanna Kama. To my savar chashuv adif, that Rabbi Yehuda holds that which is more chashuv is better. That's why you give half of the bigger onion, which would be the equivalent of the pieces of the wheat bread. Umay savar shalim adif, whereas the Tanna Kama holds that something complete is better. That's why you should give the complete smaller onion, which is the equivalent of the complete barley bread. So now, I think what the Gemara is doing right now, I think it's actually rejecting this attempt to say that it's a machlokas tanaim by the pieces of wheat bread versus the whole barley bread. And it says, now, heicha deika kohen kuli amalo plige dechashuv adif. So where there's a kohen and you're going to be giving it to him right away, so everyone would agree that you would make that you would give him the half of the large onion, because you're giving it to him right away. Mistami is going to use it right away, and the large onion is more chashuv. And I think that basically the reason why I think that it's not a machlokas tanaim regarding the wheat and the barley is because we're eating these things right now, and therefore, just like if the coin's right in front of us, everyone agrees that you would give him the more chashuv one, the larger onion that you're cutting in half. So here also, you would make a bracha on the pieces of wheat bread, right? Even though they're only pieces because they're more chashuv. Anyways, so now kiplige. So where is this machlokas between the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda? Is the leka kohen? Is when there isn't a kohen that we're going to be giving it to immediately. So the Tanan, as we learn in the Mishnah, kol makom sheyesh kohen to kohen torim min hayafe. That we learn in the Mishnah that wherever there is a kohen in front of us and we're giving it to him immediately, so then you give him whatever's best. V'chol makom she'ein kohen torim min hamiskayim. And whenever there is no kohen, and you don't know when you're necessarily going to be able to get it to the kohen, so then you just opt for whatever is going to preserve better, which is the whole onion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ein torim ela min hayafe. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you only give from the best stuff. Even if you're not sure when you're going to maybe be able to get it to the kohen, still, what you're going to separate is, you're not going to separate, grade B stuff. You're only going to separate grade A stuff, even if that means that it might end up it might go bad before you get it to the kohen. Okay, but anyways, the way I understand it is that in our case, since you're eating it right away, you should probably go for the yafeh, at least based on this truma thing. You would go for, I think, the more chashuv one, which would be the pieces of wheat bread. But again, it's a machlokas between Rav Huna and Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan would say that no, better to go for the. Actually, no. We said that everyone would agree. No, sorry. When it came to the wheat and the barley, we said that everyone would agree that you would go for the pieces of the wheat bread, which are more chashuv. They're zeh, and I think it's actually supported by this Mishnah regarding truma. Okay, sweet. Now, back to the wheat situation, right? When you have pieces of wheat bread and a whole wheat bread, right? It's all wheat. So we said it was machlokas between Rav Huna and Rabbi Yochanan about, should you make a bracha on the whole one or can you make a bracha on the pieces if you'd prefer to do that. So Rav Huna said you can make a bracha on the pieces. Rabbi Yochanan said you should make a bracha on the whole one. So now, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak v'Yarei Shamayim yotzei yidei shnein. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says that a Yarei Shamayim will try to, make everybody happy and make a bracha on both the pieces and the whole one at the same time. Umanu, who is that? Who is this Yarei Shamayim? Mar bre deravina, de mar bre deravina, maniach pusa b'socha shlema uvotzeach. Because mar bre deravina, he would basically hold together the piece with the whole bread. He would make a bracha, on both of them at the same time, and now everybody's happy. Fine. Zeu. So, Tana Kame to Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. So there was a teacher who happened to come in front of Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, right? Now Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak is the one who just said a second ago that a Yeresh Shemayim will hold both of them and make a bracha on both of them, right? So there happened to just be a teacher that came in front of Rav Nachman, and he said, Maniach hapusa b'soch hashem uvotzeach, that you take a piece and you put it together with the whole one, and you make a bracha like that. Amar lei. So Rav Nachman said to this teacher, Rav Nachman Yitzchak said to this teacher, Mashmech, what is your name? Amar lei Shalman. He said, my name is Shalman. Amar lei Shalomata ushleima mishnascha shesamta shalom ben hatamidim. He said, what an appropriate name. Shalman is mamish, an appropriate name for you, because you are peace, your teaching is complete, that you have given peace among the students, i.e., it was a great compromise position, right? Whereas Rav Huna said you can make a bracha on the pieces. Rabbi Yochanan said you have to make a bracha on the whole one. He just said, look, just make a bracha on everything. And that was very nice for Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. He very much liked that. Now this is the second time, I believe, in Masechta Berachos. Maybe somebody can point out to other cases, but where we had somebody's name, be like this, right? There was the other one was when Rav Ada bar Ahava ripped off that dress from that woman, and her name was Matun. He says, Matun is like 200. So Matun was 400, which is how much his fine was. And here also, his name was Shalman. He says, Shalman, you're all about shalom, all about peace. Amar Papa, hakomodim bepesach shemaniach prusa b'soch shlema v'otzeah. So Papa said that everyone agrees that on Pesach, you take the piece of matzah and you put it together with the whole matzahs and you make a bracha. My time outcome lechem oni ksev, because it says lechem oni, a poor person's bread. And as Rashi says, v'darko shel ani beprusa, right? A poor person usually has pieces of bread. He doesn't necessarily have a whole bread. What's this talking about? It's talking about that at the Seder, in the step called yachatz, we take the middle matzah, we break it. We hide, the larger half, I believe, for the afikomen. And then I think that later on, when we make the bracha on achilas matzah, we take, we hold the piece together with the other matzahs, and we make a bracha on all of them, so that we're making a bracha on the piece as well. Okay? Very fancy. Omar bi'aba, u'v'shabes chayv adam l'vtzual shtei kikaros. And if anybody has heard of lechem mishnah, so it means that we make a bracha on 2 breads on Shabbos, right? So on Shabbos it says that a person needs to make a bracha on 2 loaves of bread. Even though you're only maybe going to cut up one, but you make a bracha on both of them. My time, how come? Lechem mishnah, it says by the man that on Friday they would gather a double portion of man, which is a funny thing, right? Meaning we make a bracha on Shabbos because on Friday they got a double portion. But now also double portion was one for Friday and one for Shabbos, right? Which means that on Shabbos they only had a single portion because they ate Fridays the day before, no? Unless I'm wrong about this. I could be wrong. But it's interesting. Okay, Amar Vashi, Dr. Vashi, Chazina le Rav Kahana, Dinok Tarte, Uvatzachada. Very good. So Rav Vashi says that I saw Rav Kahana that he would hold up, he would take both breads, but he would only, cut open one of the 2 breads, right? And there's a note in the Agos V'Tzionim that says, Amar Lak Tuksev, right? If we look at the pasuk, it says that on the 6th day, they gathered double portions. It doesn't say that they ate double portions, it says that they gathered double portions. So therefore, Rav Kahana would gather both of the breads together, but he would only actually open one of them. Reb Zera avabotza akula sherusa. So Reb Zera would mamish give himself a big gezunta piece of bread on Shabbos, right? Keilu, I imagine there was like a big dips course over there, salatim course by Reb Zera's house. They had hummus and trina and epis eggplant and charif and everything. So, anybody who's experienced such a course before knows they eat a lot of bread. So instead of like asking them all the time, hey, can you pass the bread? So he just took a big gezunta piece of bread, when he would cut the bread, so he would just give himself a nice big piece. So Amar le Ravina le Ravashi, V'akam ischazik Rav Sanusa. So Ravina said to Ravashi, but, isn't he looking like a glutton, like a zhlub, by doing such a thing, right? It's not nice for him to take such a big gluttonous piece of bread. So Amar le, so Ravashi said to Ravina, so Rashi said to Ravina, look, during the week he doesn't do this. Yistama during the week, pas b'melech tochal. Yistama eats very little during the week, right? But on Shabbos, Chvod Shabbos, he takes a big gezunta piece of bread, so it's okay. It's clear that he's doing it for Shabbos, not because he's a glutton. Rav Ami Rav Asi ki Have misramilu rifta de eruva revachin ole hamotzi lechem naretz amrol v'savid be mitzvah chada naivid be mitzvah achrise. Oh, very fancy. So Rav Ami and Rav Asi, when they would have the bread from the Eruv, now what's the bread from the Eruv? Basically, if anybody here has carried outside of their house on Shabbos, it's because they're relying on an Eruv. What an Eruv basically is they join together all, right, they take like the fish string and they put it around the city, and then they basically join together the entire thing into one rishus, and you do that with like a loaf of bread, right? And then that loaf of bread is usually at like one of the rabbis' houses or something. So Rav Ami and Rav Asi, when they had that loaf of bread that they would use to like create the Eruv, they would make a bracha. They would actually eat it on Shabbos because they figured, well, once we're already using it for one mitzvah, for the mitzvah of Eruv, we may as well use it, I guess, for the mitzvah of, I don't know, some mitzvah, what, like Sudas Shabbos or Lechem Mishnah or something. But I guess it's a mitzvah. All right. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace out.